what motivates you to keep going? This is a question I get a lot. And I think, I don't know what kind of I don't know what motivates the question to ask. I mean, I don't know if people look at me and see the work. I put in a lot of hours. I eat stress for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's tough. As you grow an organization, it actually gets more complicated. There's bigger risks. You're more exposed because you got more employees, et cetera, and so forth. So what kind of motivates you to keep you going? And I joked about that, and I said the money, which I'm being serious. I mean, you've got to, there is a motivation to make money and to be financially free. Because to me, having financial freedom for myself and my family is extremely important. I don't just take care of my immediate family. I've got an extended family that I have to take care of. And that is expensive when you have to pay for their houses and their medical care and their utilities and living and everything else. So, that is what motivates me, is the responsibility I feel towards my family to be financially free. I also don't think nobody will live a happy life if you just kind of dial it in and don't try to become the best version of yourself. All right. And what I mean by that is, if you're waking up, it sounds really fun. Hey, I'm going to go retire, sit on a beach, drink my rum drinks, listen to some music, and be done with all this employee headaches and profitability headaches and vendor headaches and all the things that come with running a business. But the true reality is, I think you would get bored if you're like me, who wants to learn, wants to grow, or any person. I think you would get bored, number one, or I think a part of you would sort of die a little bit. I don't know if that sounds dramatic, but a part of you would die if you're not striving to be a better version of yourself, whatever that is, right? If you're not improving, if you're not trying to accomplish something in your life, I think that you are like a ship without a rudder, so to speak. You're just moving along with no destination. And I think that's when depression really sets in. I think a lot of people, we're dealing with a lot of depression today and sadness. And I think social media plays into that. But I think it's because people really don't have a direction. They don't have a purpose. They've really not decided, here's what I want to do with my life and why. And we will always do more for other people than we will do for ourselves. So really, truly, what motivates me first and foremost is making sure that I am financially stable enough to take care of my immediate and extended family. That's extremely important. And by the way, most of you do not realize how much money it really, honestly, truly takes, because you haven't factored in your relatives. And when they get older, they might need assisted living, they might need medical. And if you want to be able to help people, your parents, your aunts, your extended family, whatever that is, you're going to need a lot more money than you think. General rule of thumb, take whatever your income you need. Let's say you need $1 million a year, just using this, $1 million a year to live off of. That means if you multiply that by 30, you're going to need about 30 million in savings, roughly. I'm just doing, back of the napkin math. So I think first and foremost, that's what motivates me to keep going. I think the other thing that keeps me going is, again, I feel that I want to be a better version of myself, and nothing in life will challenge you more. It's the best personal development seminar there is running and growing a business, not just running a business, but growing a business, because growing a business will challenge you on every single level in your ability to handle stress and problems, your ability to think strategically, your ability to communicate, market, your ability to manage people, which is a big one, recruit the right people, manage those people. You're like that, really, all of those things are going to just challenge you in so many different ways. And so because I like to grow as an individual, that's another thing that keeps me growing, because I could, if I wanted to, I could just say, hey, you know what? We don't need to grow anymore. We're good. Let me just, kind of tread water, move along, and we'd be good. But the problem with that is I can't just think of me now. I got to think of my team, because I have great people working for me, not good people, great people, and I want to see them succeed. I want to see them thrive. I want to give them opportunity. And to do that, we have to grow the organization, because if we don't grow the organization, we don't have the revenue, the profits, the abilities, the upward trajectory for their skills, for their life, for their careers. Because if you're just treading water, some people may stick around because they're happy treading water, but the really, really good people, they want to go someplace that's moving, that's happening, that's growing. And so, another reason that keeps me growing, besides wanting to grow myself, is also the responsibility I feel for my customers and my people, to have a company that has great people, retains great people, and drives the whole engine forward. So that really, I think, is what it comes down to. And are there days when I want to quit? Oh yeah. Believe me, there are days when I just sit there and I'm crushed with work thing. And it's really, I don't have any major, knock on wood, I don't have any major problems to deal with, but there's always things that need repair, that need fix, that need my attention, that aren't excellent. And they all swarm you at once, right? So I think for me, I've gotten way, way better over the years at being proactive instead of reactive, and looking ahead. Where are we vulnerable? Where could we get nailed, and getting ahead of it? I've done a very good job at being profitable. So we have the money to invest, getting out of debt, having personal savings. I've done a good job of that over the years. That gives me a sense of freedom and a good base to pull from. Yeah, but I think other than that, it's just being able to grow as an individual. So Jeff, I don't know. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? What motivates you?
Yeah, I hear you on the days where you're ready to quit.
Jeff
I get the earful of that there.
Well, that's how I handle
we
stress.
joke that I just put the phone down. I can't do that with Zoom anymore.
No, right.
We're doing it, so
like he's listening. Yeah.
I just mute the Zoom there and just let you vent. No, I mean, I actually posted up of where I was reading it this morning here, your most recent article, which is along these lines: when you're so frustrated you want to quit. I posted up a link to it for those that are live on this this Zoom call right now. But if you're not, Debbie, if you want to grab that, because that ties into exactly what you're saying, and you articulate it very well there, and even articulating the things of what are the strategies of when you're in that mode. I think you've got 3 strategies in that article of what to do, and I'll let everyone just read it in the article instead of going through it here and repeating it here. But it's it's good of just knowing that when you're in that mode, that everyone, we've got a very successful business from a lot of different metrics of how you look at it. We had one of our best non-boot camp months ever this last month. But it's even when you're doing really well and doing a ton of things, of where you've got the frustrations and you've got the, I'd be better off sitting on the beach there than dealing with what I'm dealing with today or yesterday or whatever it is of that. So, but you're right with that of looking at it of what we can do, of being successful here is what we can do to be able to make it of where our members are successful, because that's how we're going to help them too, is by us being like, we can't be broken in what we're doing and help all of you.
Yeah. I mean, guys, this stuff is hard. I mean, you know that, but you really need to know that growing a business is extremely difficult. There's 328 million people in America, give or take, right? Only about 10% of them are self-employed business owners. Like, I'll say business owners, because that includes like the Uber drivers and the Etsy people creating doilies and whatnot, right? And I think it's only 0.4% of the population walking around actually carries a payroll with more than 10 employees. That's 0.4, not even 1%. And so if you're watching this and you're trying to maybe you don't have 10 employees, maybe it's just you and you're just trying to get started. You have to know that the fact that you're even trying puts you in the top 10% of America. And I probably even less than that. I mean, 10% are running their own gig. Some of them are doing that not because they want to grow a business, it's because nobody will hire them. So they have to be an Uber driver or, crochet stuff on Etsy, and because that's all they can get, right? I'm talking about people who, you know, there are people out there who are not dumb and they are not lazy and they are trying. And it is difficult. It is extremely difficult to succeed in business. And so if you're feeling stressed and challenged and you want to quit and you're suffering, like literally suffering, you have to understand that that's part of it. I don't think you, I think you, I don't, I'm not saying you should just roll over and accept that and say, well, I'm just going to suffer through it. I think there are things you can do. You know, you should think about what exactly is wrong and it's bothering you. How do you fix things? How do you make things better? How do you hire new people? But the reality is, I mean, I've been doing this for over 20 years and you know, there's this sort of a realization that I've come to is running a business is a shit ton of work, stress, worry, and anxiety. Interrupted by brief moments of shining, amazing glory, right? Because every once in a while you do something, you're like, damn, that was so good. Or you have a stellar month, or you have a sales rep that's killing it, or you got something good going on. And so when you do, you got to celebrate that because it doesn't last very long. And I'm not trying to be negative. I think to me, this is how I process it. You know, it's sort of like if I understand that running a business is to a great degree, a huge emotional stress and commitment and almost a suffering you sign up for, but you do it because you know that you've got a mission, you've got a purpose, you've got a bigger future that you want to create. And then when you can focus on that, why am I doing this? You kind of say, hey, you know what? I can quit anytime, but I'm choosing to do this because I have a bigger future. So I don't know if that anyone needs to hear that. I wrote that article. I talked to a member, you know, at the Newark or Chicago Roadshow. And, you know, I could see that he was, and he's not a dumb guy and he's not lazy, but he's going through some stuff and he's going through growing pains. And, you know, I just gave him a hug and I said, you know, I don't want to say it'll get better because if it does, it will get better, but then other shit's going to happen and break and you're going to be, but just, I think it's just breathe, connect with people. That's another reason why going to these events is good, because sometimes just getting around other people who are in your industry, who can understand the pain you're going through, the problems you're having, being around those people and just having that conversation can be very helpful, because they can sometimes provide you solutions to the problems you're dealing with and help you get clarity, which is great. But just sometimes sharing with another person who gets that and understands what you're going through, because sometimes your spouse doesn't really understand what you're going through. Your employees don't. You don't want to share it with your customers. You don't want to share it with your employees either, by the way. You know, good news goes down and bad news goes up, right? And the buck stops where you are. So anyway, I just wanted, you know, there was a good question. Someone like post this question. I get that question a lot. I think all motivation is self-motivation. So what motivates me might not, you know, obviously it's not going to be the same for you, but I think it is important for you to figure out what does motivate you and why you're doing what you're doing, because you're going to need your eyes on that when things get brutal, and they will.